Good morning, everyone. Last time I've mentioned about doing a project and designing a project for yourself to improve your Mandarin speaking skills. And in this video, I'm going to go more in detail about how to design a project to improve your Mandarin. So the model that I'm using to guide my project design and implementation is called a personalized autonomous model, and this model is developed by Mira King. She's my teacher at UNSW, and this model has 4 sections. First section, analysis, and the second section, planning, and then action and reflection. Today we're most likely talking about analysis and planning. So I'm going to give you an example for you to consider as a project topic, but then you have to really analyze yourself. You have to find out where and what you want to improve for the next period of time. For example, if you want to focus on your speaking, that's fine. If you want to focus on listening, reading, and writing, it's up to you, because you know what you need most, and your need is your biggest motivation for you. So I'm going to give an example of how to improve tones. So first, if you want to improve your tones, you have to do analysis to check how well are you getting the tones right, because most Chinese learners, they have difficulties in pronouncing the tones and remembering the tones, and even for advanced language learners, they might even be able to translate books and write poems in Chinese or at very advanced level, but they still couldn't get their tone right. And when they give a speech, and people will laugh at them. So tone is very fundamental in language learner, but beginning learners, they have problems. All the way through to advanced learners, they can still have a lot of difficulties in getting the tone right. So I'm going to just show this as an example to us how you can design your project. So for the analysis part, you have to do a test. You can either have someone, your classmate or your teachers or your friends or me, to do a test with you. So you will be tested with some words, let's say 10 or 100 words, and see how many of them you can get the tone correctly. And then you have to analyze which tones are your weakest. Is the third tone, or which, or you just totally don't get any of them at all. I understand the tone is really an extra bit of information that we all hate to remember. It's like when I learn a European language, for example German or and the nouns are gendered, and you have feminine noun, you have masculine noun, and you have neutral noun, and this bit of information is just so hectic. Like, I just don't even want to know that such things exist. I want to get straight into learning new words. I want to get straight into talking and reading, but I don't want to remember that bit of extra information, whether that noun is a masculine noun or feminine noun or a neutral noun. But that has a great impact on my later study, because I don't want to be learning the language for 5-10 years and still making basic grammar mistakes, and that's just not good. For example, I might be able to read a book, but then I won't be able to say what's the gender of of the most common words like bread or something. So the same is with tone. You see that for Chinese it's very unique system because it's a tone-based language, and it's different from many or most of the language. There are, I think, only a few Asian languages are like that. So every single character or every single word has a specific tone, and you have to pronounce in that way, and you cannot change it. If you change it, it will become totally a different meaning. Whereas in English or in most of the other language, if you change the tone, it might have a very subtle effect to what you want to say, but it will not change the meaning of the word. For example, if I say in a rising tone, dog, 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 cat, cat, it's still a dog, it's still a cat. It doesn't change anything. But in Chinese, in Mandarin, if you say yan, that's a cigarette. Yan, that's a salt. So if you go to a shop and you want to get a cigarette, and they will give you salt if you pronounce the tone wrong. And if you want to have soup, tang, and you pronounce it tang, and they will give you sugar instead of soup. So that's very annoying, and that it will going to hugely discourage you when you really start to using a language in a real life environment. Even for people who live in China to learn a language, they still find so discouraging to know that they couldn't get the tone right. So I think it's valuable if you can find motivation to improve on your tones. And as everything, if you have a plan, if you have a goal, and you have a method, and you put in effort, and you track on your progress, you will make progress. 100% sure. I guarantee you, you will see the difference. So after you analyzed your current level of proficiency in pronouncing tones, you can move on into designing your or planning your project. So the first thing in your planning that you need to consider is your goal. So what is your goal? The goal has to be realistic and achievable and enjoyable. So these are the three principles. You don't want to make something that is unachievable, unattainable. You want to speak like native speakers in just 1 month's time, and that's just not realistic, not possible. So therefore you have to have a smaller goal, and so that you can maintain the momentum of learning and keep encouraging yourself and motivate yourself. So for example, I'm going to get these 500 of basic words correct, and I'm going to be able to pronounce it correctly when I know the tone. And then I'm going to remember certain numbers of words. And then for the planning part, of course, you need to set aside time, and the time management is really up to you. How many time you want to spend? 10 minutes, 5 minutes, that's fine, as long as it's consistent with your schedule, and don't scatter it too spread out too much, because then you won't be able to remember or keep track of your progress. So once you've decided how many hours or minutes that you want to spend every day or every week, and then you can either set a time, for example, the first 5 minutes from the morning, or 5 minutes before bed, or some other times depending on your work and study schedule. And then you can research on different methods you can Google, or you can research online on YouTube videos how to pronounce them correctly. I'm sure there are loads of videos. I'm not here to tell you what you should do, but I'm encouraging you to find out ways and method so that in the future you can design any project to improve any aspects of your life. So you find out how and what's your method, and what is good to improve your pronunciation, and then you will go ahead and to into the implementation part, which I will go more in detail in our next video. So for now, think about what project you want to do, what is your missing point, and if you want to go ahead with the tone, with improving your tones, and that's fine too, and you can start getting the tone. You can start designing your project, and then I will show you a example of my design in the description box.